and I thought to myself, this is literally poisoning me. If I don't get this out, I don't know what's going to happen next to me. This is a really hard video for me to make, but I'm making it because if I can help one person, then it'll be worth it. So this video is about breast implant illness. Never in a million years did I think that this was real. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about why I had decided to get breast implants. So prior to becoming a nurse, so before all that, I kind of lived a second life. Ever since I was little, I loved singing, I loved acting, I loved performing, right? So that is essentially what I pursued my entire childhood. I would sing at talent shows, I would sing at church, and I actually went to acting school in New York for film and television. So I remember, now I was always a busty child. Ever since I went through puberty, I actually was a size C. Like I had a very full cup. I had breasts. It's not like I was completely flat. So why did I get breast implants? Well, because I was young and dumb is kind of like the short version of it. But I remember I was in audition, and because I did have large breasts, they wanted me to wear a certain outfit, and I felt self-conscious because I felt like my breasts were saggy, right? So I felt like they were saggy, and I was like, you know, if I'm going to be in this profession, like I wish I could just wear whatever and that my breasts would be perky. During that week, it was a coincidence that my mom, obviously, now if mine were saggy, my mom's breasts were like down to her belly, right? Down to her belly button. So that I was on the phone. I was living in New York at the time. I was on the phone with my mom, and she's like, hey, Bridget, I'm thinking of getting breast implants. I'm tired of how saggy my breasts are. I'm self-conscious about it. And I was like, I'm going to come with you. Like, it was an impulse decision. I was not in the healthcare field at the time. I didn't know of any risks. When I met with the surgeon, he was like, no, it's very safe. There's no adverse effects, right? So I was like, okay. I thought this was a very routine procedure. I went ahead and went through with it. And aesthetically, I was very happy with how I looked. They were perky now. I could wear whatever I want, and my breasts weren't saggy. All right. So in my 20s, I was fairly healthy. I never really had acne to begin with, but the signs, my symptoms kept progressing and kept getting worse and worse over time. The first thing that I started to develop almost in like my mid to late 20s was severe cystic acne. The ones that you can't pop, but like they're under your skin, I would get like huge breakouts on my chin or over here, and I had scars from like it scarred my face. They've gotten better, but it was, so first I started getting like the cystic acne. I didn't know what was going on because I had never had this before. So I was like, wow, great. Okay, I guess I get acne as an adult. Again, I was not putting the pieces together. Every once in a while too, I would get GI symptoms. The ex that I was with at the time would joke around and say like, oh, your body's weird. Your body goes through its own cleanse every 3 months. Like every so often I would get severe GI upset, like nausea, vomiting. I wouldn't want to eat. And I never really knew why. I would chalk it up to maybe like I had eaten out and something I ate didn't settle well with my stomach. But my GI symptoms would get worse later on. I started working, so I went to nursing school. I went through all that. Then I started working as a nurse at a hospital. I had had childhood allergies that almost pushed me into asthma, but I had never really developed asthma. I started working at the hospital. I started getting severe shortness of breath, and it kept getting progressively worse to the point where like I would wake up and I just, if I had, and I would notice like my asthma would get worse during when I was working, and then I would get better, but it was severe. Like I couldn't catch my breath. I'd be like, it was almost like, it was like an air hunger. There was no wheezing. It's just hard to explain. I would be at work and I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, what is going on with me? The symptoms got so bad one time that I was really close friends with one physician. And I was like, I think I have, like, I can't breathe. I don't know, like, can you do some lab work on me? Do I have a PE? Do I have a pulmonary embolus? So he did a D dimer, it was negative. And throughout this time, I'm going to the doctor. The doctor thinks I'm crazy because I'm like, I can't breathe. I don't know what's going on. He's like, everything's fine. So I decided I had a PPO insurance, so I went to an asthma and allergy doctor. When they did my pulmonary function test, that's where you blow into a tube and then you suck the air back in. My pulmonary function, I can't remember the exact number, but it was really bad. They asked me a whole bunch of questions like, have you ever smoked? Are you a smoker? I'm like, no, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. And me, I am the most, like, I do not drink alcohol. I do not smoke. I've never done drugs. Like, I am the most healthy person that I even know, right? I don't touch anything. I don't touch any illicit substances. So I'm like, why am I so healthy? I've been vegan for, I went vegan when I was 20. I was like, I've been vegan for so long. What's going on with me? Severe asthma, shortness of breath. They were throwing all kinds of inhalers at me and they kept progressing me up because nothing was working. I tried a steroid inhaler, that didn't help. Then they put me on Symbicort, which is a combination of a long-acting beta agonist as well as a steroid, and that just made me so jittery. But the weird thing is it didn't help. Like, I was still having the shortness of breath, and I'm just like, I don't think that this is normal asthma. Like, something else is going on. They had tried Singulair, Montelukast, and nothing was working. Believe it or not, I had an ex that he was like, have you tried just like an antihistamine, like a Zyrtec? And I'm like, I doubt I doubt that's it, but because if these inhalers aren't working and these are so strong, I doubt that a simple Zyrtec will help me. Well, lo and behold, I took a Zyrtec and it actually helped. It actually minimized my symptoms enough that I could work. I would still feel the occasional when I was at work, like but it wasn't as severe. I think what was happening during this time is the implants were just causing my body to be over on attack mode all the time. So my immune system was overly vigilant. So something that wouldn't necessarily make someone else have an overreactive immune system, my immune system was being kicked up a notch, way too much. For any little thing, any little irritant, my immune system was in attack mode. And it was just, I wasn't able to breathe. Anyways, so ever since I got these implants out, even if I don't take the Zyrtec, whatever, and I go work at the hospital, because I still take clinical groups there, I don't get that same shortness of breath that I used to get. Even when I used to take the Zyrtec before, like I said, I would still feel the shortness of breath, but it wasn't as bad. And like, who would think that breathing would have something to do with implants, right? And to further support the fact that the implants were responsible for this is I went back to the asthma doctor after I got my implants removed, and they did a pulmonary function test, and my lung function is completely normal now. And the doctors were perplexed. None of them believes me. None of them thinks that this could have contributed it. They think, a lot of times they look at you like you're crazy. But I know myself and I know my body, and I know that this isn't just a placebo effect. A placebo effect is like when you do something to yourself, and that, just having done that, like, everything is better and it's in your head, but it didn't really work. But no, I know this is not a placebo effect, because I hadn't even put two and two together. Like, I had been taking clinical groups to the hospital. I was like, oh wow, you know how you don't notice something until you notice when something is bad, but you don't notice the absence of something. So you notice when you're short of breath, but when you're not short of breath, you kind of take things for granted. So I was like, oh wow, I've been taking clinical groups for like 6 weeks at this hospital and I'm not short of breath. Amazing, right? So asthma started. Again, I had no idea. Nowhere in my brain was the fact that this was related. My acne had kind of calmed down by then. It's like my body picked different things to flare up or mess up. Regardless, I was using Murad at the time to help control the acne. So I was using Murad because Proactive didn't help it. My pulmonary function test did improve after I got my breast implants removed. Now, the kind of breast implants that I got, they were textured silicone breast implants, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then after I turned 30, everything just went down the crap hole as they say. I was getting injured. I've worked out my entire life. I've been as a child, like, so after I got out of like, after 10 years old up until like 30, I was super healthy. I was super active. I played volleyball. I played soccer. I played lacrosse. I ran track. I was super athletic. I loved playing. I would play basketball all the time with the guys at the gym. Like, I was always a tomboy. But anyways, super athletic, super healthy. I was a personal trainer in my 20s while I was in nursing school. So 30s hit, and all of a sudden, any little exercise I was doing, I would pull a muscle, strain a muscle, or have like extreme tendonitis. Tendonitis that like would not get better after 6 weeks. Like, I was like, this is not normal. I'm only 30 years old, and why do I still have tennis elbow after 3 months, you know? And I just, something was not right. I spent so much money on like things for myself. I was sprinting on the treadmill one day, right? I was sprinting. And at the time, I didn't feel the pain. It was after I stopped. I was sprinting very, very fast. After I got off the treadmill, I felt a very strange twinge of pain in my hamstring. Very, very strange. And then it just got worse. Like, it just felt like I tore it. It was awful. I can't describe to you how excruciating the pain is. And it went from my glute, from the ischial tuberosity, from the bottom of my glute, all the way down to the back of my knee, right? Excruciating. Sitting hurt. Everything hurt except laying down. Sitting like this or even reclining was excruciatingly painful. I went to the doctor for it. You just strained the muscle, right? I'm like, this isn't just a strain. This feels really bad. It didn't get better after 6 months. It was not getting better. I was in excruciating pain. Like, it was awful. So I myself made an appointment with an orthopedic doctor because my primary care doctor doesn't listen to a freaking thing I say. So I always have to like figure myself out and solve the puzzle pieces. So I went to an orthopedic doctor. Before this, I had gone to physical therapy. I understand that you're getting your doctorate degree, but he was overly confident. He thought he knew everything. He was trying to tell me that the pain that I was feeling was sciatic nerve pain. Now, maybe the muscle could have been aggravating the sciatic nerve, but my problem wasn't the sciatic nerve. My problem was I knew I had done something to the area. So I switched physical therapists. I started going somewhere else. The girl, that physical therapist, she did test on me. She's like, yeah, it's not the sciatic nerve. It's not related to your back. Because the other hypothesis was, oh, maybe it's your back, right? I'm like, no, this happened out of the blue one day. It's an injury. Please fix it. So that physical therapist, she started doing cupping on me. And my hamstring was getting really dark. It was lighting up, which means like the areas that are dark, that means that there is toxins there, there's injury there, right? So but it was helping, but I wasn't getting much better. I was still in a lot of pain. So then I myself went to an orthopedic doctor. Thank God that orthopedic doctor sent me to a physical therapist that works with professional athletes. This guy charges $85 a session. He's phenomenal, but who has $85 a session? I'm not a professional athlete. I can't afford that, right? But I was in so much pain that I bit the bullet, and I was going every single week paying $85 out of pocket because my insurance didn't cover it so that I could get physical therapy. Because like I told you, I was getting tendonitis. I would go every week and he would scrape me. This is a different scraper than he would use. He had a different one. But scraping is basically when you use some kind of like oil or lotion and you're scraping the areas that have adhesions to help release the myofascia that gets so tight and injured. So I was going to him every single week. He basically had to do my whole body. He had to do my elbows, my hamstring, and I was noticing improvement, but not enough. So he was like, Bridget, you've been one of my most difficult cases. When I can't fix someone, I refer you to this other doctor. He was a doctor of osteopathic medicine, so that you can do something called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. I'm forever grateful to that physical therapist that he didn't just keep taking my money if he saw that I wasn't getting better. So I went and I had to have 2 sessions of platelet-rich plasma injected Oh, by the way, and in the ultrasound, that doctor did see that my hamstring was torn. So, just because you don't see something in MRI or the report doesn't show it, the person reading it, the radiologist, could have potentially missed it. He did see tears at the ischial tuberosity, in my piriformis, and the insertion point down below, down behind the knee. So I had basically tore all that area. I was a hot mess, right? Thank God. I'm still not at 100%. I'm at like a 90%, right? But it's not excruciating, so I haven't taken care of it because each PRP session costs $500. And it does take a recovery period, and it's very painful. So I'm actually kind of scared to go back. But I got PRP done, right? But why wasn't I healing, right? I was just getting any little workout. If I would go to the gym and do like the triceps, if I would do like, the tricep extensions, like I would get excruciating pain in my elbow. Biceps, I would get excruciating pain here. Like I couldn't work out anymore without straining, pulling, hurting something, right? And I'm just like, this isn't normal. So I was in my second to last semester of nursing school. I had a friend that I had been friends with for a very long time, and I would confide in him in regards to like all my injuries and illnesses. Like it was so bad. I bought every single thing. Like I had braces, right? This was recommended by my physical therapist, this voodoo tape. And basically what you do is you wrap this around your arm. I can't do it myself, but you wrap it any area that's injured, and you cut off the circulation. It's like a tourniquet effect, right? And then you pull it, you pump the area like a few times, and then you release this, and then the purpose of it is that blood will gush back to the area, right? So I was doing my nursing schoolwork with freaking braces on because my wrists hurt. I was getting like carpal tunnel, like both wrists were hurting me. Every inch of my body was hurting me, right? I spent so much money. I had a whole like physical therapy thing. I had lacrosse balls. I had these things that are pressure points to release pressure points. I bought a cupping set. Right, to do cupping on myself, like because I didn't want to keep paying. I tried acupuncture. I tried the chiropractor. What did I try? I spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars trying to get better. This like hypervolt thing, right? I spent so much money on all this pain that I was constantly in. And, I've always been a really happy, optimistic person. Like I'm always smiling. Throughout this whole time period, I'm suffering so much pain. Then I spent like a whole year. Now I'll never know. I started multi-level marketing. I did multi-level marketing maybe 3 years ago. I'll never know if it was the supplements or if it was a combo or what. But for that entire year, anytime I ate out, I got so sick. I ended up in the hospital once. I was hospitalized for a full week. I was throwing up continuously. I got extremely dehydrated, which is why I ended up getting hospitalized. I was vomiting. I was not eating anything. I couldn't keep liquids down. My electrolytes were all out. I had chronic diarrhea. I was a hot mess, and nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. Diarrhea that would just not stop. That was an entire year. I would just wake up with nausea, like chronic nausea, to the point where like one time I was like, this is my life now. I'm just going to be nauseous for the rest of my life. Like this is just my life. Thank God that depression doesn't run in my family, because I don't know how I didn't get severe depression from all of this that was happening to me. Being in pain is not fun. So I was sick for an entire year, with my stomach, nauseous almost for an entire year. I went to a GI doctor. Nobody could figure anything out, right? Then to top it all off, I got interstitial cystitis, which is like one day I loved spicy food, I love citrus things, right? Well, one day out the blue, I just couldn't It all started, I have a video on interstitial cystitis if you want to watch that video, but my bladder just couldn't tolerate anything. It would cause me excruciating pain. It felt like someone was stabbing me or throwing gasoline on and lighting it, and that's what my bladder felt like. It felt like I had a UTI, but I didn't have a UTI, and I was in excruciating pain, and that took a while to figure out that it was interstitial cystitis. So I got interstitial cystitis. I was in so much pain to do my homework assignments. Both my wrists were hurting, right? I was in so much pain. I literally couldn't take the pain to like just type on the keyboard and do my homework. I had this EKG quiz I had to take where all I had to do was use a mouse to click on what I thought that which EKG was right. My wrist hurt so bad that I had to call a friend to come, and literally I would tell my friend like, okay, click A, click C, click B. Like, that's in how much pain I was in. I couldn't even click something on a screen. I had to call my friend to do that, to click on it for me. So after getting my breast implants removed, like, I've never worn that brace again. This hand, not this one, this one's completely fine. This one still gets sometimes a little bit tight, especially if I've worked for a lot, like, you know, full 8-10 hour days. But if I massage it, or if I use this thing on it, like, usually it's enough to, like, it's fine. Like, I'm never in excruciating pain anymore to the point where I'm like, I can't move my hand, you know? I don't get the numbness or the tingling, so it's not like I have untreated carpal tunnel. I was always talking to people. I was always like, you know, is it food? Like, maybe it's certain foods. Am I missing? Am I deficient in something? But all my lab work was 100% normal. I had no inflammatory markers. My ESR, my CRP was not elevated, right? My ANA, which is a marker of autoimmune conditions, was positive, but my primary said that, sometimes I should, and at that time I should have got additional testing with a rheumatologist, not just go off the ANA and the CRP and the ESR. But again, I was in school, I didn't have time. Several people had different theories. You know, they thought maybe it was the food I was eating. I would cut certain things out, same symptoms. I was experimenting with everything, but nothing, everything was the same. If not, it was getting worse. So finally, my friend, which I had never would have thought in a million years, my friend was discreet. He's like, hey, can I ask you a question? He's like, do you have breast implants? And I was like, yes, I do, which normally I don't really like to talk about that with people. It's very personal. And like, if I was wearing a normal shirt, you wouldn't really be able to tell I had breast implants because I was a C cup before. It's not like my breasts were like up to here. They appeared natural. They had a droop to them, like a natural droop, because again, it's not like the doctor had to stretch out my skin and like I had balloons here. No, like they looked very natural. She's like, do you have breast implants? I was like, yes. Why do you ask? He's like, well, because I've been seeing a lot of videos online about breast implant illness. And I'm like, that's not real. I was like, I don't think that breast implants can cause what's happening to me, right? But he planted that seed in my brain. Will this happen to everyone? Will everyone that gets breast implants have these symptoms? Absolutely not, right? I just tend to have a hyperactive immune system. So people that have a history of allergies, asthma, any autoimmune conditions in your family, you're at increased risk for everything that kind of went on with me. I didn't experience depression or fatigue. Other people do experience depression and fatigue, thank God, or anxiety, right? I wasn't like tired, and I wasn't like depressed and crying all the time. I was just I was upset that I was 30 going on 90, you know? So meanwhile, my mom was starting to get the same muscular symptoms that I was getting. And then when my mom started to get all these symptoms, that's when I was like, maybe something is going on here. My dad has rheumatoid arthritis, and to be perfectly honest with you, my mom and I were more like messed up than my dad was. My dad was walking around fine with his RA. Me and my mom, like, we were having to cup ourselves, massage ourselves, like scrape ourselves every day. Like I showed you before, I bought my own scraping tool so I could do my own scraping on myself. Like, my mom has always been so active. She would jog all the time, and I just saw her health declining. Like, she would wake up with excruciating back pain. She went to the doctor. There wasn't like any herniated discs or anything like that. Excruciating back pain. It did look like it was muscular in nature. Like all of her symptoms, she was just getting the same symptoms I was getting, but hers was in her lower back and in her legs. So I was like, and then what kind of sealed the deal one day is my mom's friend came over from work, and this lady comes in. She looks like looks like a mummy because she's strapped down. She has a back brace on, a neck brace. She can barely move, right? She's had multiple back surgeries, and she's just like, I just get these weird muscle pains and back pain, and my pain just jumps from area to area. Like, I would describe it as fibromyalgia, kind of like the pain that you feel is just like one day it hurts here, the next day it hurts here, or maybe it hurts here. Like, it's just generalized pain. This lady, she had generalized pain, and the doctors had just operated on her. They operated on her low back, on her neck, and she's like, to be honest with you, the pain is still there. I feel the exact same pain that I felt before the surgery, right? So my mom asked her, she's like, hey, just a question. She's like, do you have breast implants? And she was like, yes, I do. So I was like, okay, this is too much of a coincidence. I felt like it was God's way of putting different things in my life to be like, wake up, this is what's causing your issue. So by that point, I was ready to get them out. Like, I was in so much pain. I was like, oh, if this is really what's causing it, like, I want them out. Take them out. So I was in my second to last semester of NP school, of nurse practitioner school. And there was a fairly long break in between that semester and the next semester. So I decided, surgery in the United States is too expensive, right? So I decided to go to Colombia, which has a reputation of having good surgeons, but I'll tell you why I'm changing my mind in another video I'm going to do, because I almost died from the surgery. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, I almost died. So I flew to Colombia to get my implants removed during the break from my last semester of NP school, from my second to last going into my last semester of NP school. I get there, talk to the surgeon. He doesn't think that my symptoms are related to that. And like I said, I'll do another video of how I almost died during surgery, so I won't go into that because this video is already quite lengthy. So rewinding back and going back, the absolutely last straw where I was like, I need to get these out now because they're literally killing me. What am I gonna get next? Lupus? Like, I got severe dry eyes. My mouth started getting dry to the point where my tongue was like, it felt like sandpaper, my eyes and my mouth. And that is another autoimmune condition called Sjogren's. And severe dry eyes, not like, oh, they're a little dry, uncomfortable. No, severe to the point where, like, if I blinked, I was in pain. I would wake up and my eyes just, I cannot, unless you've gone through severe dry eyes, I can't explain to you how uncomfortable and how painful that sensation is. And my mouth was dry, but I can live with that. So now that didn't go away after the surgery. My eyes, they're not as severely dry, but I've been using Restasis. My mouth still gets dry. So every night before I go to bed, I have to put these things called xylem melts, and I put them in my cheek just to produce saliva in my mouth at night. Because if not, my tongue, because I don't even know how to explain it to you. If there's no saliva in your tongue, no lubrication, then your tongue almost like, it's almost like the feeling is like when you burn your tongue and it's completely dried out. So my tongue feels caught constantly, like if I burned it. Like, that's what my tongue feels like chronically. It's decreased the taste sensation in my mouth. But if I don't put those xylem melts in, it'll be a lot worse. With the Restasis now that I use in my eyes are a lot better. So right before, like, I was thinking of waiting until after I graduated from nurse practitioner school. But once my eyes started getting severely dry and my mouth started getting dry, I'm like, I'm out. I need to get these out. Every month I was getting like a new condition. I was like, I'm tired of every month I'm breaking down. Like, my body's literally breaking down bit by bit piece by piece. Like I felt like I was on death's door, like any minute now, and I was going to get diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or something. And I was like, I have to do this now. So I went during the break. I got the implants removed. Like I said, did I get 100% better? No, but I did. But I am better, and the good news is I'm not getting worse. So breast implant illness is very real. Also, breast implants are associated with anaplastic large cell lymphoma, and that's abbreviated as BIALCL. It's a type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and there's been 573 cases worldwide, including 33 deaths. And they are associated with the textured implants, which is unfortunately what I had in my body. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I don't get this, because unfortunately I seem to have gotten every other possible symptom that I could get from the freaking breast implants. I wanted to show this article. Silicone breast implants and autoimmune rheumatic diseases, myth or reality. So this is the abstract, which is basically the summary of the entire article, but silicone remained an adjuvant that may bleed and subsequently may be a chronic stimulus to the immune system, resulting in similar clinical manifestations as 50 years ago. Silicones are spread throughout the body and can be detected in tissue and the central nervous system. Autoimmune inflammatory syndrome by adjuvants, allergies, autoimmune diseases, immune deficiencies, and lymphomas occur in patients with silicone breast implants. It says that 60 to 80% of patients show an amelioration of signs and symptoms after explantation. SBIs are associated in a proportion of patients with complaints such as fatigue, cognitive impairment, arthralgias, myalgias, which is what I was getting, pyrexia, dry eyes and dry mouth, which is what I got. Silicones can migrate from the implant through the body and can induce a chronic inflammatory process. Explantation of SBI results in the majority of patients in an amelioration of symptoms. My mom also got her breast implants removed, and she's actually doing a lot better than I am. The 90% of her muscle aches have resolved. I'm very happy for her. I'd rather her have a better outcome than me, just because, no, I don't like to see my loved ones hurting or in pain. So I'm glad that she's doing better. And I will continue to look for ways that I can help myself, alternative treatments such as PRP or maybe stem cells, so that I can get better. But I am significantly better than what I was experiencing during when I had the implants in, and I haven't had any new conditions pop up. Now, it has been quite a change. I'll show you what my breasts look like now. So if you look at the side, like there's nothing there. To go from always having breasts, always being a C cup, it's a change in my identity. It is. I just have. It's like I have to get used to being almost like a completely different person. I was always used to being this curvy Latina woman, and now I'm like flat. But what can you do, right? Health takes the priority. So I urge you, if you're thinking about getting breast implants, think about it very, very carefully. I essentially recognize that I have almost like wrecked my body, that I didn't know I was bringing this onto myself, but I brought it onto myself. The other thing I didn't mention is I was getting really weird rashes too. Like if I would just scratch my skin, I would get like, it would just irritate. I'll put a picture up a picture up. But so just think about it. Just think about it before you do it. Is this something that is worth risking your health over? I mean, what's the point of having great breasts if you are too tired to leave your house, or you're in too much pain to enjoy life? Like, health takes priority over vanity. And I had no idea. I was not aware of this. So this is why I'm making this video, in order that maybe I can prevent someone else from this happening too. It's easier said than done, but just love yourself the way God made you. I was born with breasts, and I still got implants, and now I have to love myself being completely flat, which is adjusting a completely change. Like if I had just left myself alone, I would have still had big breasts. They wouldn't have been perky, they would have been saggy, but I would have still had boobs. So learn from me. Don't do what I did. I wish someone had told me, so that all the thousands the amount of money I've spent on my health, I could have probably bought a house by now. I do not wish what I went through on anybody. Please like, subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of student debt I'm trying to pay off, so please help me get monetized. All right, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you experienced breast plant illness, if this changed your mind or anything. I love it when you guys leave a comment. Thank you, and God bless.